So today we're going to talk about the test taking strategies for USMLE Step 2 CK. And before we talk about some other strategies, the best strategy is to start early and to give time for the preparation. So I have mentioned reputation. It is better to sweat in training than to bleed in the battle. So you have to give your time, you have to spend some time, you have to solidify your foundation, and you have to master the content to do well and to perform well in the real board exam. So this is the best strategy. And as you know, and your colleagues and the people would be telling you, recent test takers would be telling you that step 2 CK is becoming more challenging. So what's the reason? So the reason is that now the step 1 has been become a just pass fail, right? So now students are just focusing on this is just my observation, which I have observed in the students. Now the students are just focusing on getting a pass, which is barely a 196. And believe me, it is just nothing. So if you just want to pass the exam, so it is a very easy job, and it is can be done in a very short interval of time. So student, they don't uh, focus on scoring high and solidifying their concepts, their basic foundation knowledge, and this results in a lack of foundation knowledge, weak, and also result in weaker foundations and also result in weaker basic science. And the clinical science is based on the basic health science. So if your basic health science is weak, you're not going to perform, and it is less likely that you will perform well on the step 2 CK. So with weak step 1 foundations, it is really hard to do well on the step 2 CK. And now the most of the students, they're not focusing on step 1, and they're just getting a pass, and after getting a pass, now they have to tackle a very difficult exam, which is numerical, and which is basically decisive for the sake of residency program and the matching purpose. So I would say that you should not repeat this mistake because it is going to damage you in the long run. So, and if you, for example, if someone is watching me and he or she is preparing for USMLE Step 1, so please spend some quality time and do content review very well, and have a solid grasp over the content of Step 1, because microbiology is going to be tested uh, in the form of infectious disease, right? Even they incorporate some very intricate biochemistry concepts in the disease pathogenesis, and they even ask some anatomy, and so I would say that at least there is 40 to 50% overlap between step 1 and step 2. So if you prepare well for step 1, it is going to help you in the preparation and in scoring high on step 2 CK exam. So number one thing, you have to spend and you have to invest your energies, your time for the preparation of step 1, and it would help you for the preparation and for the score augmentation related to step 2 CK. So the second reason why CK is becoming more challenging, because now it is the only criteria and it is the only objective criteria on which programs can assess you. So they're making it harder to uh, to have a very solid and have a very crucial uh, gauge to assess your skills, clinical knowledge. So, and obviously CK is evolving over time. If you just observe the NBME content which was released back in 2001, 2002, so it is just not comparable with the NBME content which is available right now. If you compare NBME 1 with NBME 30, So there is a lot of uh, difference between the between the question style, formatting, and also the content. So this process is a continuous evolutionary process. So CK content is evolving more, and they are adding more content. They are adding more concepts to be tested. So this is the reason uh, CK is becoming more challenging. So you have to focus and you have to take it very seriously, because in the past people would say step one is the difficult exam and step two CK is just easy. So it is not easy anymore. It is a difficult exam. I'm not going to threaten you, but I'm just giving you some practical aspects. So the practical aspect is CK is more challenging, and you must have to tackle it with good strategies and with a good mindset. So the bottom line, I can say, you have to spend good amount of time to solidify your core high yield concepts, and you don't have to rush, because here's make wastes. And if you invest some time and energies here, it will pay you off in the long run. And obviously, for step 2 CK, as you know that if you are done with step 1, so your QBank and particularly UWorld QBank is going to be your main resource, and your score improves by solving lots and lots of unique questions. I have used a word unique. So not doing the same questions. Like I would say that if you uh, solve the UWorld for 3 times, so it is not going to help you much, right? But if you solve UWorld and then you do your wrong and then you add or incorporate another QBank, so it is going to solidify more concept, it is going to help you more, and it is going to augment your score more. So you have to do lots and lots of unique question rather than repeating the same question. And I recommend that the best way to approach a QBank is random mode. Random mode, because random mode is going to give you uh, a sense of real exam, how you're going to feel in the real exam. It is going to train your nerves from the day one for the real deal. And also it is going to help you for the spaced repetition process. For example, you have solved a question related to dementia. So today you have solved a question related to dementia because of the Alzheimer's disease. And after 1 week, say, you are going to have a question which is dementia due to Parkinsonism. And after like 10 days, 15 days, you have a question related to Lewy body dementia. So it is going to cause the spaced repetition, and the whole classes of the dementia, whole types of the dementia, it will just stick into your brain and you will remember them. So you have to uh, do the QBank on random mode, because if you do it system wise, so you are done with cardiovascular system. And for example, if you solve 40 to 60 questions per week, it is going to take almost 4 months to complete the whole UWorld QBank. And say you have finished the CVS or any system in 10 to 15 days. So for the next 3.5 month, you're not going to have a question or have a concept tested on the test related to CVS, because you have consumed all the question. So it means by the time you will start to forget, and you will end up forgetting most of the content which you have covered in the initial days of your preparation. So I would not recommend doing it system wise. So as you know, time management is really important. If instead of 90 seconds, I give you 2 minutes for one question, so you will be able to score very high, and it would help you a lot. But you know, NBME has given you time, like limited time, 90 seconds for a question, and you have to deal and you have to answer a question within this limited time. So for this, you need to have a very good time management skill. And uh, it is a bad news for you that the clinical vignette stems are very long for CK. Like sometime you will have a whole page of the computer screen in front of you, and it is just the clinical vignette related to USMLE Step 2 CK question. So you must learn how to read efficiently, effectively, and rapidly. And this is you are going to learn with the passage of time how to skim through the clinical vignette stem and how to ignore the irrelevant information and how to grasp and how to focus on the relevant information. So this is what we do in the Club 250 series, and this is what we teach to our student how to approach a question. So time management is crucially important, is extremely important. But initially, if you face some problem, like in the beginning of preparation, if you if you feel some problem, so just don't worry. And by the time, if you continue to practice how to build up your stamina, how to build up your speed reading, so uh, I hope that you will develop after some time. But for this, you need to practice and you need to learn how to do it. And practice makes a man perfect. And what else you can do after UWorld? So in addition to UWorld, I would recommend CMS forms, and it is the most underrated resource. CMS form are the most underrated resources. Like I can say that this is the question uh, written by the board examiners. This is the uh, like you can, I would say that extremely important question. You can actually read the brain of the board examiner. For example, how they test uh, a particular topic like cirrhosis of the liver, and how they are going to ask cirrhosis of the liver for board exams. And for example, they are asking about the uh, pressure management in the portal vein. They are asking about the management of the uh, upper GI bleed, if they're asking about the complication of the uh, cirrhosis. So, like they're going to give you a clue what is high yield, what is low yield, and then you can encounter those questions in the real deal. And obviously, these are the bonus points, these are the free points. So, doing CMS forms, it is going to help you immensely on the board exams. And I would say that it is just a solid queue bank. Like there are more than 40 CMS forms, and each CMS form contains 50 questions. So if you multiply, there are more than 2,000 questions. And these are the 2,000 questions written by the board examiner who actually write the questions on the real deal. So it is really a very high yield and again, underrated resource. So you must have to do it. And you should be doing NBME assessments. And I would say that you have to do the NBME assessments in the later phase of your preparation. Like once you are done with the UWorld cubing, then you can do. And there are four online NBME forms from 9, 12, 11, 12. So recently they have added NBME 12 too. So each form contains 200 question and you can multiply it with 4. So 800 questions again by the board exam writer. So they are must to do. As I told you that doing NBME forms and CMS forms, they're going to help you immensely because it is going to provide you an opportunity to segregate the knowledge, which is high yield, which one is high yield, which one is low yield, and how they are going to ask you a question. Furthermore, the NBME concepts are sometimes the NBME questions, they are really weird. You just don't have any idea. You don't have any clue what they are asking about. So if you do the NBME forms before the exam, So they are going to give you a reality check, a kind of reality check, and they are going to train your nerves for the real deal. Because in the real deals, you would be having some uh, questions like two or three questions or three or four questions per block in which you don't have any idea. You just have to choose an answer and move on. So this thing is going to help you to train your brain and to train your nerves how to approach and how to behave in this kind of scenario. And as I told you that they're also going to give you an opportunity to read the brain of the examiner, and you can approach a particular topic. For example, I can say a crab cycle, or I can say that management of the MI um, and STEMI MI. So they're going to, like, non-STEMI is just management is same all over the board exam and all over the content, but sometime they just ask a question in a different way, in a unique way. So if you do the unique questions, so you can encounter and you can face a particular factoid, a particular clinical presentation from all the aspects from a different angle. So it basically makes it very clear, and it sticks in your head. It becomes easier to memorize and to retain the information. So again, I would recommend that you must be doing NBME content in the later phase, and after you are done with the first pass of the UWORLD, and you have to do it in a time mode. And like I would say, for example, if there are 75 minutes for 50 questions, so you have to do it in 70 minutes instead of 75 minutes, 5 minutes less than the original time. The reason is this, because if you spare 5 minutes in your hand, it is going to help you in the real exam, because uh, you are basically making it harder for yourself while you're prepping for the exam. And this habit and this practice will basically facilitate you uh, in terms of time management in the real exam. So you just make it like, first you make it 74, then bring it to 73, then make it 72, and then you can set 70 minute finally. So you just reduce 1 minute out of 75. You just reduce 1 minute. Like for one day, you are going to make it 74. Then after some time, like 2 or 3 days after, you can make it 73, then 72, then 71. I'm talking about the minutes. So you have 70 minutes to solve 50 questions. So you would be having 5 minutes spare in your in your hand. So it would give you a kind of satisfaction. It would basically help you in terms of time management. So the bottom line, I can say that you don't have to passively read the review books. There are a lot of review books available out there. I'm not going to say that they're trash, but they're low yield. And the best way to maximize your score is actively studying. And active study is basically doing the questions, questions, questions. And the passive reading of the review books and notes is not going to help you. And you have to develop a skill set to approach a clinical vignette, and an endurance to solve the question, and stamina to sit for the long hours, because it is a 9 hour exam and you have to solve almost 320 questions. So you must have to develop an endurance and stamina to sit for that long, and to not to lose focus for that particular stretch of time.